Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the school committee meeting for November 3rd. May I please have a motion to accept the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Welcome. What a nice audience we have this evening. Don't pretend that this is what our usual audience looks like, because it's not. So please come back again in another 2 weeks. I'd love to start the evening with Dr. Bucky. He is going to introduce our John and Abigail Adams Scholars for 2016. And we're going to invite you, as your name's called, to come up and just stand along the ramp, if you would, please.
So this will be our first test for preparing for graduation, lining up students. Before you come up, I just want to let the committee know that the class of 2016 distinguishes itself from prior classes as being the first class that they are required to get advanced or proficient on 3 MCAS tests. Last year it was based on ELA and math. They had to get advanced on one of them and proficient on the other. Now it's math, ELA, and biology. So this group has distinguished itself. We have 33 students we would like to have come down. I'm going to read the list. As soon as I read your name, if you could line up on this rail behind us, and then we're going to give you your 15 minutes of fame with the school committee and ask you to let the committee know what your plans for next year might be. If you don't know, that is a plan for next year, and that's perfectly okay to say. So the 2016 John and Abigail Adams Scholars are Nathaniel Alden, Callahan Bartlett, Samantha Bennett, Virginia Bullington, Julia Campese, Gus Day, Hannah Deneen, Jacob DuPont, Paris Fisher, Nicole Gottlieb, Nora Harrington, Brooke Holdgate, Evelyn Hudson, Catherine Kubish, Claire McKay, Nora McClellan, Blaze McQuaid, Wyeth Milne, Sophie Knowles, Shane O'Connor, Darian Ortega, Josiah Patterson, William Pittman, Irina Ragavine, Sean Ryder, Morgan Sale, Audrey Snell, Francis Stedman, Wyatt Strati, Lauren Wilson, and Sinead Yell. So these are the 2016 John and Abigail. Before I put them on the hot seat, I did want to share with the committee this year, they have run, you know how I like a 3-year running trend. They have indicated on the state website that gives you the criteria for the scholarship what that actual dollar value is in the UMass system and among the state colleges. So that's a handout for you.
Thank you.
Passed one. Some interesting information on exactly what the scholarship entails. Now, depending on how well they do with their presentation, I'll give them the award letter. Okay. I think they want you to speak into the mic.
Sure. Hi, I'm Callahan Bartlett. I have applied early decision to Boston University as of Saturday. So that's my plan as of now. I'm hoping to study biology and with a pre-medical track with hopes to go to medical school.
Great.
I'm Virginia Bullington, and I've applied to a lot of schools on the West Coast, actually exclusively on the West Coast because I like the warm weather. And so, yeah, I like to be in college for 4 years and have a great time and learn a lot.
I'm Julia. All my schools are on the East Coast, and I applied to a lot of tech schools because I want to study engineering.
Slow down.
Hi, I'm Hannah. I've applied to 3 schools so far. I applied early decision to Babson. I plan hopefully to be in Boston. Pretty much all my schools are in Boston. I want to study either accounting or finance. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Jacob DuPont. I applied to early decision to Colorado College.
Hi, I'm Nicole Gottlieb. I plan to study elementary and special education next year.
Hi, I'm Nora Harrington. I applied to all my schools are on the East Coast, and I'm planning on studying clinical psychology.
Hi, I'm Paris Fisher. I have applied to schools in Boston and I'm planning to study biology.
Hi, I'm Brooke Holdgate. I'm applying to Bentley University and I'm hoping to study business management.
Hi, I'm Norma Clellan. I plan to become a veterinarian, so I want to go to vet school.
I'm Claire McKay, and I applied to all Northeast schools, and I don't really know what I want to study, but I do love English and languages.
Turn the mic off.
Nope.
The red light.
It's green.
What's that? Okay.
It's not for the room. I think it's just for the TV. For the TV.
It's just for the TV.
There are thousands of people at home watching this, so don't let that change.
So I shouldn't use it?
No, you're fine.
No, you should.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm Wyeth. I plan to go to school for art, and so far I've applied to Pratt.
Great.
Hello, my name is Blaze McQuaid. I've auditioned. I've applied early action to Boston College and Northeastern University. I plan on studying political science for my undergrad and then going to law school from there.
Great.
I'm Shane O'Connor. I'm applying to Villanova, Colorado College and the Air Force Academy. I hope to study liberal arts.
Hello, I'm Darren Ortega. I'm applying to a handful of Massachusetts schools, and I wish to pursue a career in anthropology or history.
Hi, I'm Josiah Patterson. I'm interested in landscape architecture and environmental studies.
Hi, I'm Will Pittman. I plan to study computer science and specialize in cybersecurity.
Hi, I'm Marina Raghaveen. I have applied to, or I'm planning on applying to primarily Northeast Urban, and I plan on studying medicine mathematics with the side of dance.
Hi, I'm Sean Ryder. I'm planning on studying restaurant management.
Hello all, I'm Frances. I applied to schools in the Northeast and I want to go into nursing and pediatric practitioning.
Hi, I'm Lauren Wilson, and I've applied to mostly Northeast and Mid-Atlantic schools, and I'll be studying business.
Hi, I'm Wyatt. I've applied to all my schools are in the Northeast, and I hope to study finance.
And as riveting as school committee meetings are, I did hear a student behind me say, "Was there anatomy homework?" I assume there was. No need to leave to do it.
It's so nice when like this is here for things.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not just. Jim was in her class, and I was like, yeah.
Martin's coming up to us, right? Yep.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. I'm going to, as I'm just waiting for the room to clear.
For anyone that's still here.
Is anyone left? Bye, guys. Thank you again for coming.
For those of you that don't want to miss out.
It must be a lot of anatomy homework.
I think I have some homework. In fact, I gotta go.
Bye. Thank you. All right. I would like to invite Martin Engeloff to come up and join us, please, at the table. You can sit actually in Mr. Kozort's seat. You can get in the hot seat, Martin.
Okay. If you want to talk,
You know how to clear.
warmed it up. I got two in the office.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, thank you.
So hello, welcome.
Hello. Good evening.
So you're here tonight to talk to us about the food services program?
Yes, we received it towards the end of October. We received the school lunch September 2015 financials, and as you can see, the operating deficit has increased, unfortunately, to $18,715. That is a $6,920 increase over the previous year, and it's mostly due to a 18% decline in average daily paid student meal sales, as well as 7.5% increase in product costs as percentage of total sales. We did discuss this with the district manager, Erin Long, and she did get back to me with information that this is mostly due to inflation. Prices haven't been increased since 2004, and also the nature of the business. There is a new food service director in place. Orders needed to be placed and build up for the upcoming year after the summer, so that's natural. Possibly those products will be used in the second quarter as well.
Yep.
In addition, so that's the operating side. Total sales have declined by $6,653, and this is due to the fact that the food service operation was open 3 days less in 17 operating days as compared to 20 in the prior year. As well as, average daily sales have increased by about $110, but that is due to a $5,649 increase in revenues from breakfast buddies and catering. And these are mostly charge sales. So last year they were reconciled at a later period in the year because there was no food service director in place in 2014, September 2014. So we expect these revenues to come in the second quarter, possibly of this year. Well, no, I take that back. They came this year at $5,649. Last year there was zero revenues from that, so they came later. So we'll see how this affects the comparative second quarter results. The free and reduced meals as percentage to total has stayed almost flat, 21.6% in fiscal year in 15, as opposed to 22.6% in September 2014. This is a reminder, we did receive the new rates, and I have them with me, of the subsidies. We received different kind of subsidies from the state and federal for depending on volume and depending on the type of meal, of the reimbursement meal, subsidized meal. Overall, we remain hopeful we will stay within the $48,100 subsidy, and because of improved product mix, and we'll hopefully see better participation rates as the year progresses. This is just a reminder that this is somewhat smaller amount than what the deficits were in the past.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, if you have any questions.
I think that's the most important bullet point of the whole presentation, is that even when we see these slight fluctuations, that overall we're seeing such dramatic improvement in the subsidy line item from where we were in years past, that this is ultimately really good news for us.
Right.
Yeah, yes, and that's the expectation of Chartwell's as well. So,
Tim?
We were selling potato chips and Coke at the in the black, but that's...
more kids would be coming to see you. So.
Do you feel that there has been any impact in changing the menu to favor a variety of inedible products? Have we looked at, for example, the wastage? I would just be curious of the wastage to see whether our kids are really eating it or heaving a lot of it.
At NES, there's a basket for students who don't want to eat their fruit, and they collect them. And
how full is it?
Well, I don't know, but
it doesn't get very full. Just as you asked the question, our kids eat it.
The high school, you don't touch it.
They don't touch it?
I've never gone near the fruit basket.
But you don't get it. At the high school level, they don't they tell the person scooping it up, I
Right.
don't want that, I don't want this.
Right.
And so there isn't a good deal of waste at the end of the day.
So the little fruit basket thing is just for like the middle schoolers that are using the same cafeteria. I've never bought lunch, so I'm not, and I wouldn't know.
There isn't a great deal of waste at the elementary school. The fruit sometimes goes in the basket, but you will find a kid go over and take a piece of fruit out. So there really isn't a lot of waste.
I do think, though, Tim, that in further answer, I think all of the federal regulations and guidelines has had an effect on the volume of sales. And I think that they clearly, left to their own devices, students are not usually going to opt for the healthiest meal. They want to choose what they want to eat. And so I think sales have, across the country and in the Commonwealth, dropped as the regulations have ramped up.
And some of it is built on faulty science. The issues.
The regulations you're talking about.
Issues around salt and issues around cholesterol seem to be fluctuating. Now, you can't eat hot dogs, or a steak, but.
No, they came out the next day with another report that said it was actually okay in moderation.
Moderation.
Okay. No, it's just interesting to me.
Just as an additional point, the student a la carte meal sales have increased, even though we have had 3 less operating days. They've actually increased the amount of servings for lunch, have increased by about 170 meals. So.
And is it helping when parents or families are opening an account online instead of sending students to school with money? And how can we encourage more families to do that? So I get a notification via email if we're down to, I think it's like $10 or under, saying that we need to add to the bank. How can we encourage more families to participate in the online payment process so we don't see?
It's ideal when families go that route because we're handling less money in the schools. There's less time spent on it, so I agree with you. By the same token, we have to respect the wishes of families who would rather deal in cash. And so you can't eliminate that way, and I would say particularly on Nantucket where you have a significant number of people for whom that is their preference. So I think it has increased on the online, and it's certainly easier, but we will never go completely to that because of the cash industry on Nantucket.
I wonder if there's any way of seeing the numbers of the students who are not eating lunch. It sounds like some of the students are choosing not to purchase the food, but I wonder it's probably easier, maybe, I'm just guessing, it's probably easier at the elementary school to find a student or locate a student who's not eating. But I wonder if there are teachers that identify students in the middle and high school, because I'm just aware that, students are leaving their house potentially at 7 o'clock in the morning, and if they're not eating breakfast, which I think many typical teenagers skip breakfast, they're going all day without lunch. And I'm just wondering, are we watching that? Are we aware of that? Are the lunch monitors making comments about that?
At the middle school we are.
What do you do, Peter?
Whoever's supervising the cafeteria is walking around, circulating, and then they'll alert either myself or the guidance counselors if they notice that after a couple of days the child's not eating. They'll approach the kid and just say, "Did you get lunch?" And often the kid will kind of wave them off. But if it becomes a pattern, we alert guidance, we reach out to the parents and just make sure they're aware. In some cases, there are either health reasons or medication reasons that are affecting appetite, but for the most part, kids are eating. They're not necessarily eating well, but they're eating lunch.
And John, would you say the same for
I
high
would.
school?
And we have a couple alternative locations to the cafeteria. I know Julie Kingston has a lunch group that meets with her. I know Meg Roberts will have students in the nurse's office that will eat with her. Andrew Vaselli in his program will have students come down. So students who might be averse to eating lunch in the cafeteria have alternative locations, and then the monitors in the caf are doing exactly what Dr. Cohen said, alerting us to students who might not be eating.
Yeah, because it's a long day without any nutrition, and then, of course, we expect them to pay attention and focus in classrooms. And I also think as children get older, their awkwardness, social awkwardness, certainly around food and eating in front of people can be an issue for some students. So I'm glad that there are alternative places for them to eat, because cafeteria isn't for everybody. So, any other questions or comments? Kate? Well, thank you, Martin.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
So now this comes to the busy portion of the meeting for public comment. Okay, I know I'm going to get public comment one day.
Yeah, don't be careful what you ask for. I say it all the time.
Okay. All right, well, moving on, seeing no public comment, we're moving to the votes to be taken. And as you see, there are several votes. Mike has one change.
If I could just speak to it, I did send you a copy of the auditor's report, which is a lot of information to digest. It's a pretty good audit compared to the one that we had a couple of years ago. We've cleaned up a lot of things that they have asked us to take care of. We still have some things that we need to pay attention to, but tonight, as part of the auditing process, we wanted to bring to you the accounts that we wanted to add, the couple of accounts that will be moving from elementary to middle and middle to high school, and then accounts that we wanted to close. One of the three in A on your agenda, 5A, the class of 1998. Since this agenda went out, we've been contacted by that class, and they have asked to donate what is remaining in their account to two scholarship funds, one for Robin Harvey and the other for Mr. Pignato. And so that figure of $6,465.04 will not be part of your vote tonight. That money is going into those two accounts, and so you don't have to vote. We will vote to close that account when it
After
has been
done.
zeroed out. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay? So the first vote that we would ask would be to approve the class of 1990 and 1999 with those amounts in them to go to net and be closed.
Okay, so we're going to actually do, are you taking my job?
No, I was not. I was just trying to outline it for the chair.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
May I have a motion to accept the vote to close the class of 1990 of $950 to net and close, and also for the class of 1999 for $403.42 to net and close. May I have a motion, please? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Thank you.
And then I think if the chair would like to, you could probably put the class of 1998 under the B votes once and just assume that the assets now are at zero.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to read for the record individual line items, so please hold your voting. I know it's ready. Thank you. I'd like to have a motion, please, to accept the class of 1998 closed to zero and closed. Class of 1997 assets have already been moved to net and closed. Class of 2000 assets moved to net and closed. Class of 2001 assets closed. Class of 2002 zero balance closed. Class of 2003 zero balance closed. and class of 2004 deficit brings to zero balance and close. May I please have a motion?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Thank you.
Now, and you will see in the auditor's report why we are moving to close these accounts, because they've made it very clear that we should not be keeping graduating classes. So we've made some pretty good progress. We will be putting out a new ad for the classes of 2005 through, let me see, 2000, actually, yes, 5 through 2000, probably 14, I think. An ad will be going out to notify the people in those classes that those funds also will be moved to net if somebody doesn't come forward.
Like we did for these.
Like we did for those. So we're moving in the right direction. Future classes have been notified that the students should take a vote at the end of the year, Francis, to decide if they want to give the remaining balance as a class gift, which many classes will do, or have it go into net. I would remind the school committee and the public that the monies that go to net go to a restricted fund, restricted for student projects. So that money still has to be used in some way to support our students. Okay? And then the next would be approve the adding of student activities.
Right, so I'm asking for a motion to accept the Nantucket Schools' request that the following activities be added to their respective schools' student activity account. And that would be the Chinese Club. Nantucket High School is a new club. Class of 2019, Nantucket High School is being moved from CPS. Class of 2022 from Cyrus Pierce School, moved from NES, Nantucket Elementary School. And then a new account, Mermaids and Mentors, which is a new account for Cyrus Pierce Middle School. Class of 2029, Nantucket Elementary School, new pre-K class. May I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
May I have a
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, so moved. I read that and I was like, wow, 2029.
So if you're saying if like we were to not vote on where we wanted to send our money in the spring and we just left it there, do you eventually just close the account and like nobody said anything, so we're just gonna take it at this point?
It would automatically move to net, the Nantucket Education Trust, where it could only be used for student projects. Some of the projects that have been funded, transportation for summer boost. You might have a student who qualified to go to a national science fair, and so some funds might be used to help with the transportation for that student. So that fund is expressly restricted to be used in support of student projects. I think this summer it supported projects with Mariah Mitchell, some students, high school students.
Research program.
Right. So that would happen automatically if you vote, if you did not vote.
But it's also posted prior, as Mr. Kozel was
Right.
saying, so that
You know you have to
do
do something.
ahead, yeah.
But over how long do you have?
Well, actually, the auditors recommend that you get to a point that at year's end, right now, we're moving to a point to get closer and closer, but ideally, you don't want to have any graduated classes funds in the activity account.
But then the class or the representatives could vote to take it and put it in a separate account.
Yes, they can.
Like coming back.
Right, and then there's a process for that as well. where the class officers would have to set up a separate account.
So you can't keep it like within the school? You have
Cannot
to
keep it within the
Okay.
school.
Mhm.
Right. Okay. And then at the next meeting, I would bring the auditor's report once again for a vote. But I didn't think that you would want to see it tonight and vote on it tonight.
Okay, yep, thank you. Another vote, we have an approval for Nantucket High School field trip to New York City that's going to take place from March 31st to April 3rd, and this is the Accidentals and Naturals. In front of you, you see the required field trip form. May I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. And I think they need another couple of chaperones, don't they, that are school committee members?
No, you already have enough?
Already have you.
Shoot, I've never gone on that one.
Good one. All right, and then we have a wonderful gift donation that was given to Nantucket School Committee, $15,000 from the John Macomber personal estate of William B. Macomber. And I would just like to read a little history of the family, and so we can recognize, you pointed to something, I was going to read what was on the thing here, is that right? Yeah.
You're fine. You can
Yeah,
start
okay.
there.
The family of Mr. and Mrs. Macomber are delighted that the Nantucket Public School Committee is a recipient of these funds. In his retirement, William B. Macomber, Jr. served on the Nantucket Public School Committee, taught history at the Nantucket High School, and coached football with Vita Capizzo. Mr. Macomber shared his passion for history and football with many young people who to this day remember their time with him fondly. He served on the school committee with commitment to provide the best for the school system, teachers, and students alike. And we're very grateful for the generous donation given to the school committee. May I please have a motion to accept?
I would say one thing, that he was an ambassador.
Yes.
And he was a tremendous guy. Was a tremendous coach, teacher, very involved.
He was one of my teachers.
He was
Yes.
he was my history teacher as well in high school.
Very well.
Make a motion to approve.
All in favor?
We are very fortunate to have people like this in our community, and I think you may further want to take a motion, should you decide, Madam Chair, to put that money into that same Nantucket Education Trust restricted fund for students, so that it could be drawn and not have to set up another account that might draw on that. But that's committees.
But
So it would,
through the chair, I wonder about this part here. Award to a student of Nantucket High School for excellence in citizenship and in academics, plus conscientious involvement in either athletics, mechanics, or visual performing arts. Is that, I mean,
And it says the next awardee is to be a faculty member.
Or two, an award to a teacher in the Nantucket Public School System for
And the
excellence.
next award is supposed to be towards a faculty
So-
member.
should that be commingled or should it be kept separate? With those specific.
Right, I see what you're saying. Yeah, you may be raising a good point. You may want to hold off on that.
I do think it is an interesting concept, though, to have the funds placed in the education trust, and maybe we have a separate meeting to designate the restriction on those particular funds, or get a recommendation from the education trust on it. But I think it is the
Right.
appropriate conduit through which those funds could be distributed.
But not
perhaps
commingled with
Not
the
commingled.
the student activity, so
Okay.
perhaps we could request that NET open up a separate account.
As they have for One Book, One Island, MUSAC, and some other organizations over time.
I agree, because I think that this, we need, also the school committee, in conjunction with NET, should focus on this carefully, at the wishes of the family. So may I have a motion then to move the 15,000 into a designated Macomber fund at the Nantucket Education Trust? Second?
I'm sorry, with these particular parameters.
With the particular
Yes.
parameters,
Yep.
yes.
Thank you, yes. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Thank you. Thank you for bringing that up. We have two sets of minutes that we need to address, please. First is the October 6th meeting. We have a motion to accept.
I was down at that meeting.
Oh, so moved.
And second is you, Kate. So
Second.
moved?
So moved, yeah.
Okay,
I
all
lost
in
her
favor?
regard.
We couldn't approve those last.
No, we couldn't approve them last time. And second one is, may I have a motion, please, to approve the minutes of October 20th?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, so moved. And lastly, we have the transfers and invoices. In front of you, may I have a motion to accept?
Okay.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you, so moved. All right, superintendent's report.
Okay. Have two things for you. I think you have the enrollment report.
Yes.
And so do I.
Good check.
Thank you. You will notice that the numbers went down slightly from the October count. Overall, we lost one student at the elementary school, the middle school stayed the same, and two fewer students at the high school. It's not terribly unusual for it to go up and down a little bit. It would be
It
some
doesn't show it went
Didn't show a
down.
difference.
November 5/12
Mine does.
from
The
October.
district total I have is 1568
68.
for both October and November.
Yeah. 5/14 in October for the high school, 5/12 in, so I'm comparing
ones.
November and October.
Okay.
I see.
Okay?
Okay.
So overall, it went from 1571 to 1568. So I don't think our line, previous report, October 15th, is correct,
Okay,
if that's what you're saying.
yes.
Yeah. That should be 1571.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, thank you, I didn't see a difference.
Yep,
That's why I
sorry.
was-
Right.
That's okay.
So
Can I ask what this is again? How do you know this?
PG is,
The shift. The totals are the same, it was just a shift. Because we had two students in the middle school that remained on the books for the count because of grading. So it didn't change the bottom line total.
I don't want to take issue with you, but it's, the October report that we gave last month had 1571 on it. And this report has 1568. PG is postgraduate. Those are two children who have, who are, were seniors last year, but might continue because they have special needs that allow them to be educated
Okay.
up to age 22.
Gotcha, thank you.
Okay?
I'm sure it's been on there before, I never noticed it. Thank you.
Okay.
Yep.
Actually, I think we just started doing that to try to show
Oh, okay.
some of those students. So that's the enrollment on the horizon. We have Glenn Kuchar coming at our next meeting. And Martin will give the preliminary budget forecast. We'll try to give you a building update and some of our new vocational programs, 3 of them, John, will be presenting, and I think that's the landscaping, nursing, and criminal justice. So they'll be
That's great.
making presentations. So it'll be might be a little longer meeting.
It's great.
That's all I have to report.
Wait, I have a question through you to Mike. Where do we stand on Park versus MCAS?
We will be making a report, and I'm just going to go into the horizon. I need to add park to that because the park results have come to us. They are embargoed until either the 9th or 10th of November, which is next week. But we've had a chance to start looking at them preliminarily. It will be grades 3 through 8 that will be presented since we've already presented the MCAS scores. So that will also be at the November 17th meeting.
That is going to be a long meeting.
But is the park going to turn out to be a one-hit wonder?
That decision is supposed to be made November 17th. So we may have information for the school committee that night. I'm not sure, honestly, whether I expect that decision to be made on the 17th, even though that is the target date. I think it's a lot more complicated issue. And I think you've probably heard that the commissioner has now played out 3 possibilities. One is MCAS 1.0, which is MCAS as we know it. The other is Park, which is what he said that he would be recommending some time ago. But he has opened the door slightly by saying it could be MCAS 2.0, which would be a MCAS done digitally and maybe with some more rigor. Personally, I'm not sure that they can have that up and ready by this spring, even if they wanted to. So that's my question about whether that's, so we may know that on that evening as well.
I have a question.
Sure.
I don't know if any of you would know the answer, but what is the draw to move from standardized testing, paper and pencil to the digital? Like, what is the
Sure.
gravitation towards that?
I think there are several answers to that. One being that there are expectations of our students to become more tech literate. And so why would we have an expectation in the classroom and not assess in that manner? I think the other is supposedly the turnaround of the results would be faster. I hesitated because that's what we were told, and yet the turnaround on the results on Park, the digital Park, has been slower. Yeah, we'll have to see.
Mike, I was also going to add, Francis, I think there's also a belief that from a universal design for learning is that accommodations can be provided to students much more easily. So a student who needs enlarged print, it's right there in front of them. A student who needs it read to them, it's right there in front of them. So there are built-in features electronically that aren't available to students paper pencil, and it has the added feature of maybe other students might not even know. So I might have enlarged print, somebody sitting next to me might just have a more typical font, and nobody needs to know the difference. So it speaks to access to the test.
On the, I haven't taken any of these online tests. I haven't seen them been taken. But I know English would probably be different because you read and answer questions, or that was when I took them. But when you do math, are you given like a piece of paper to write on to do out your math?
In the digital, yes.
You can.
Yes.
It's scrap paper?
They give you like,
Yeah.
so you just do your math out
You
and
can.
then click the button.
Scrap paper, and then you enter your answer.
Right.
But you can also enter all the work you just did there as well, because some questions ask you to share all of that work, so there is a block.
If it's a constructed response question, then they would be expecting you to show your work in the digital format. But if it's an algorithm that you're working on, you might do that on the paper and then transpose it. Yeah. And Nancy, thank you. That's the modifications is a key piece. And it's nice that not just the identified children have an opportunity for the modifications. I think that's the other thing. Highlighting and all kinds of different things are available digitally. So we'll see. Waiting with bated breath.
May I make a request to you and Mike to perhaps have somebody from the Education Trust give us an update or presentation on the group at some point throughout the year? I think we have a lot of funds that we recommend go in there, and certainly tonight, and there were some things I didn't actually know about for the Education Trust, so it might be nice for us to hear a little bit of an update from them on what some of these accounts are and maybe where some of their grants have been awarded, and
That's a great idea.
fill us in a little on it. That would be great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's a good idea.
Love it.
Anything else on your report?
I don't.
Francis, do you have anything to report on? No? I just have a couple of things I'd like to say before we go to other comments and close out for the night. Mike and I had an opportunity to walk through the grounds of NES the other day. I asked Mike if he would walk me through so that I could see where the new site is going to be, and I've certainly seen it on the maps, but for me, I'm a visual, so it was very helpful. And I realized how little time I spend or get to spend at the elementary school. The high school, maybe a little bit more, but not much, and I'm really not in the middle school at all. And so we were chatting, and I asked Mike, I said I wanted to come and bring this to the committee, and I want to, make sure that this was fine with Mike and our principals, but I would like to encourage the school committee to take some time to make appointments to come into the schools and perhaps sit in on some of the classes. I don't know how you guys feel, but I feel detached from the classes and from what we're doing and all the good work that we're doing. And I think for me it would be helpful if I could sit in and see all three schools, some of the schools in the elementary, some in the middle school and high school. And I would encourage you as school committee members to consider doing that, because I think it's important. We're ambassadors for our school, and I think that's just good management if we're present in the schools. And I know for some who have children of younger children, you're in there more volunteering and stuff. But I think with your school committee hat, that would be good. And I would ask if we could directly contact the principals to maybe sit down and discuss some of the classes you would like us to see. And again, this is not meant to be in any way an evaluation or of any sort, but it's more of, I think it's good practice to have us in the buildings, and I think it's good practice for the teachers to see that we are interested in more than just getting presentations, but actually seeing their instruction at work. So
I think that's terrific. The only guiding principle I offered Pauline was that we not have the whole committee come as a group, because that's a little intimidating. But scheduling something as your schedules fit, and I like the idea of, maybe there's a particular class that you're interested in, or there's a particular class that the principals might be interested in having you see. I think that's a wonderful idea.
Right.
So, you are the stewards of the school system, so I think you have every right and responsibility to be in the school. So it's wonderful.
Thank you.
Most people will welcome it.
And then just two other, and I realize by the time this airs, it will be over. But this coming Sunday, there is Run for Robin. Saturday evening, there is a dinner at the Segro. I believe they've already sold out on their tickets. Yeah. But this is an opportunity for us to give tribute to our friend Robin, and the monies raised will go to the Harvey Foundation, the Harvey Family Foundation, I think, for scholarships for high school students. And then secondly, tomorrow I get the pleasure of participating in Credit for Life, which is one of my favorite days at the high school. I've somehow been able to wheedle my way in for the last 3 or 4 years, so it's really good for me. But this is where Cape Cod 5 sponsors the morning, and each student is given a job and an allowance or a salary, and they have to spend their salary wisely. And last year I got to be the second job lady, and I was taught everybody had a handshake. So I'm looking forward to that tomorrow, and thank Cape Cod 5 for their generosity in that.
And just to add, Thursday at 2 o'clock, the boys soccer team plays in the tournament. And Friday at 2 o'clock, the girls soccer team plays in the tournament. And then Saturday, the football team plays against St. John Paul.
And field hockey plays
And-
on Wednesday?
Oh, tomorrow.
They're away, though.
They're away. They're away.
What time are the soccer matches?
2 o'clock.
Thursday and Friday? or both?
On the girls on Friday are playing Falmouth Academy,
Girls.
and the boys Millis team they haven't played. So
Yeah, I love
2 o'clock before school gets
2 o'clock before school gets out.
Wow.
Problem is, as you saw tonight, you know, it's
Mhm.
getting dark before 5 o'clock. So they need to, if it goes into shootout or extra overtime, you can't get the game in. So my words of wisdom are, don't let it go to overtime.
I just
Take
wanna
care of
note that
business.
I have spent more time than I ever have at various high school sport games, and they are fantastic. The camaraderie on the teams, the I want to say professionalism, but just the integrity with which our students carry themselves, and how much fun it is. I seriously have not had more fun in recent memory than going to games. In fact, I found myself just going to a game by myself the other day, which has never happened for me before. I felt like I was channeling my friend Robin, just showing up at a sporting event. So I highly encourage everybody to just take a minute, relax, go, maybe buy a coffee or a chowder or something at the shack and just have fun. It is so fun.
It's nice to see the community out as well, and the young children running around.
It is.
It is wonderful. Any comments or further reports? May I have a motion to adjourn?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Thank you, everyone.